Hello, from wherever you are in the world, welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle. We're a positive group of British voices united in our love for all things Disney. Tonight we have some exciting news that will transform your experience at Walt Disney World. Yes, you heard that right. Genie Plus is saying farewell. It seems that Genie is going back into the lamp for another 10,000 years. In its place, we're introducing the brand new Lightning Lane Multi-Pass and Single Pass. So stay with us as we delve into all the details and what does this mean for your next Disney adventure. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
It's Wednesday already.
How can it
I know.
only be Wednesday? It feels like this week has been 9 days long already.
Only 9. I thought we'd double figures by now. Always felt like it. But no, I remember this time last week, we were talking about cocktails. And Claire, you weren't with us.
I wasn't with you. And
That's probably just as well.
I watched the show. I have watched the show back.
We
I've
had to
seen
drink
it.
cocktails because Disney dropped this announcement last Wednesday.
Yeah, right?
And it was
Yes.
like, we needed something to get through it because
Yeah.
it was a bit of a bombshell. And it's like, what does this mean? Because during COVID, during the pandemic, they thrust Genie on us. So it was goodbye FastPass, hello Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, which I think has taken us, I don't know, nearly 3 years to work out what it actually means for your trips. And now we've got to move on to something new, something different.
Just when you get used to it.
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes. I
But
think
yeah,
that's
no.
probably.
Definitely. And the thing is, we're all heading back, or a lot of us heading back for summer, but literally just before we're about to go for our summer trip, because this new system starts on the 24th of July.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's been like, oh, here's 6 months to get used to a new system and work out the kinks. And as we've found out this past week, there's been a few controversial changes, which we'll come on to a little bit later. But I'd like to, you've heard from everyone so far, to say, I'll welcome John. Hi, John, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, man. They must have heard I was coming. It's taken me, it's all that time when I've not been able to get into the parks. They've now heard I've come in, so they're going to change the system. That's taken me so much time to actually try and figure out how I was going to max it out. And now it's all completely wrecked again. So, yeah, maybe by the end of August, I might have found a way to try and make it work. And that's, for people who have listened to us over 5 years, I've got to admit, the old paper fast passes, we did manage to max out to the absolute ultimate amount of.
I love being able to get to a park nice and early.
Yeah,
you do the Toy Story Mania walk
yeah.
with your elbows
out.
Now.
Watch your ankles for the strollers. Wow.
I think every system that we've had has had something different and something that after a bit of time we understand it a bit more. We learn sort of the quirks and different bits of it to make it work for everybody. So I also want to say hello to Peter. How are you?
Hello. I'm okay. Today's been my day off today. That's good. But it does mean I'm working the weekend. Boo.
Oh no.
So
So as we're all getting ready and excited for the weekend, you're not as
Yeah, I'm going extra early on Saturday. Yes.
So, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting show. I said at the beginning, we are genuinely a positive bunch of people, and I feel this may we've got a few plans to try and keep this positive tonight.
You're gonna have to go well there, Ben.
Well, I'm hoping the chat is going to back me up on that.
Yeah,
I really do.
I just realised though, John, I was saying this pre-show before you arrived. I'm actually impressed that Disney have done this now, because it kind of feels like we're celebrating American independence all over again in a different way. It's the 4th of July tomorrow, and I hope all our friends over there have a lovely time.
Yeah,
and
very
have a
much
great day of celebrating. But this kind of just makes me think back to 1776.
Yeah.
I've just got the song "We'll Be Back" going in on in my head.
Yeah, especially George when you need him.
We will get on that app eventually. When
I think it's spot on that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you. It literally just occurred to me. I was like, oh, Happy Independence Day! Fireworks!
Yeah.
So should we? What I plan for today is that we're going to try and give you as many facts as we can, keep this as accurate as possible. But obviously, from a UK perspective, this is probably going to change, and we hope it does change to benefit us.
Correct today.
That's
all we can say.
Yeah.
Look, I'm rhyming now. Can we do this as a musical episode, please?
Need a bit of warning if it's a musical episode. Yeah.
You don't.
I think as well, the problem there, Clay, it's just you just be one of them sort of situation poets. So you just sort of keep going with the poetry, and it will just like everything will the whole show will just flow. And
we just need a show of just rhyming. So every just
rhyming couplets the entire way through.
Yeah. We'll keep that for our Rivers of Light extravaganza.
That's the thing we have to do.
Totally rhyming slang. See exactly what you did there, Jim.
3 different episodes we need.
Yeah, we're only 8 minutes in. This is great, isn't it?
Maybe those shows might belong on a Patreon level more than the actual show. I don't know.
Yes. I think that might be the case.
But yeah, Lightning Lane. What is it? So for everyone who's been before and been over the past couple of years, it was what we would call the FastPass queue. You would wake up at 7 a.m., pay between, was it $15, $36, because it changed depending on the season, the day that you were there. More recently, it was per park, or you could have it across all of the parks. But it's a way of just skipping the line. So you get shorter queue. Generally, instead of, for example, $7 mine train, instead of a 90-minute queue, you'll be on there in 20 minutes. It was just a better way. And before the pandemic, we had FastPass Plus, which we all loved because it was free, or shall I say free? It was included in your ticket.
Yes.
And you could book it 60 days before if you were on site, and if you're off site, it was 30 days before.
Yeah.
So some of this has come back. So in the graphic, this was more sort of the future. Is this the future of FastPass Plus? Is this just a paid for version that has come back? But what was our first impressions of it when this news dropped last week?
Did they call it Lightning Lane because of the weather in Florida?
Stormy. Or are they going to put like little Buzz Lightyear everywhere? Like on each, he could be like the mascot.
The new mascot. But I just thought it was like that we're paying homage to the Florida weather, where it's Lightning Lane, but not you test track.
No.
It's certainly, to answer your question, Ben, it's certainly clearer than it previously was. It's certainly simpler to understand, which is a good thing.
I liked the idea, haven't it? When we got the first news that dropped of this last week, I was so excited that I don't have to wake up at 7 a.m. on my holiday to know that I'm going to book Genie Plus and all of this sort of stuff for that I was able to do it in advance. So if you're on site, it's 7 days in advance. If you're off site, it's 3 days. But if anyone with their eagle eyes who's watching on YouTube can see this line here, these passes can be purchased after you arrive in the US.
And that's the bit that actually begins to rankle, right? I'm holding me court
Come
here.
on, John. I'm ready for a John rant.
No, I'm not going to
rant.
I'm
looking forward to this all day.
Not yet. Right, I've still got an issue where I'm going to pay for it, right? So you know that I'll put my cards on the table with that, because actually you could understand during COVID times that the reason for going down the park reservation route and then actually knowing who's going to be on what ride at what time, I can get that. But I was still aggrieved that we were going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But to actually introduce this, make us pay for it, but then not allow us from the UK or from other outlying parts that are not the USA, for us to actually not be able to purchase them until after you arrive in the US. It seems as if Disney are not really wanting anybody apart from American guests. And I'll refer us back to, was it last month's mid-month when we spoke to Russ, and we talked an awful lot about what's coming up in Universal, and if this is Disney's sort of response to Epic Universe and what's coming there, you kind of think, oh my word, this is like you're not in touch with what actually is happening on the ground in the wider Orlando area, because actually you could be doing yourself a real disservice, because a lot of people in Britain, if you can't get this book beforehand, and a lot of people are very much into the pre-booking, what they'll do is they'll say, well, I'll tell you what, why don't we go to Universal for a week, and then we'll do Disney. We'll only do Disney for 1 week rather than the 2 that we were planning. And in that way, Disney have done themselves out of an awful lot of money just because people are thinking, oh, well, they don't want us. It's bizarre. And that's,
John, you're right. I think the only thing that the problem with that is you land on your 7 days, you're going to want on-site. But actually, if you do the costs, like, do I just stay 2 weeks at Universal and then just buy a Disney ticket to do and go between the two? Where I think a lot of trips that we've had previously, we've gone to stay at Disney and we'll do 3, maybe 4 half days, or we'll pop to Universal and back. I feel like with Epic Universe next year, with how some of the Universal hotels are offering, we stayed at their Value Resort in 2022, and I have to admit, it felt so much nicer to be in a Value Resort at Universal than it did versus the ones that we've stayed on at Disney. And it was an awful lot cheaper.
It doesn't make sense, man.
It's a very interesting way. It's an interesting way without there being an option for international guests. The system just feels like it's either launched too early, hasn't been thought through on that sort of level, or they've got the data to prove that actually international guests don't buy Genie Plus as much as we all think.
Possibly.
So actually,
John.
And because we're there 14 nights or for a longer trip, do we need Genie Plus if we actually, or Lightning Lane, do we look at it and go like, we can just we can do rope drop, or we can do this ride, or we can do the evening? So where an American trip may be that people will go for 3 or 4 nights and will always buy it because they know it could be busy and they want to make sure they fit it in that space.
I think that's a really fair point, actually, Ben. And you know, having been there obviously on longer trips, there are definitely days where I go, we're not going to buy it. We're not going to buy Genie Plus because actually, if we don't want to wait 25 minutes or 30 minutes, we'll come back another day. We've got we've got 3 more days in Magic Kingdom, so I don't need to worry about it today. Or, you know, I'm just going to buy the single Lightning Lane for Tron or whatever. I'm not going to worry too much about buying the whole park day or
we did that
version.
in October. We only bought it for like 1 or 2 days of our 7-night trip then. And
it was only needed, I think we found that you only really need it in Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. It's really beneficial. Interestingly, weirdly, Morgan and I did do it in Animal Kingdom on our last trip when I was there with him. But that's only because I had a really short day and we wanted to cram in as much as we could, and we definitely wanted to do Flight of Passage. So I did buy it then. But it was super cheap because it was like $14 for Animal Kingdom, because nobody buys it for Animal Kingdom. And I wonder whether you're right, whether the fact that people maybe on average only purchased Genie Plus for the same number of days that somebody on a short trip in America would buy it for, because actually we've got so much longer. But I do worry about the fact that it is all international guests. So then the volume of international guests is enormous when you look at our South American friends, Canadian friends, all of the Europeans that go. Just as a starting point, I just think, why would you? I was going to use the word alienate. I do mean that. But
Yeah.
why
I
would
think
you
it- I
not
think it is,
find
Claire. I
a
think
You
it's
just
work-
feel
right.
why
it,
would
they're
you not-
excluded. It
Yeah,
just
so-
feels,
And,
doesn't
and
feel.
it doesn't feel very Disney.
And a lot of the chat that I've seen on Reddit, social media groups, everywhere in the past week has been negative because it didn't help when Disney first announced this that there was no mention of the US.
Hmm.
And it was only when you went into like any terms and conditions and it said you had to be in the US. And the guest services and the response was like, of course you'll be able to get it. And then, no, actually, there's been so much mixed information this past week that we need to focus on what we've got now.
Oh,
Well,
thank
just
you, John. Canada
thank you
is
to John.
included.
Thanks to John Self in the
Yeah.
in the chat. Yeah, that's it. If
We all
Canada's
need to
not
move to
excluded-
Canada.
That's it. Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
What?
I think moving on from that, and I think it's just really worth noting the amount of data that Disney have probably held on us through Magic Bands and
Yeah,
through the
totally.
old app
Yeah.
when you were booking FastPass Plus, that surely there must be someone who's willing to sift through the data that obviously is available, and it appears as if they're not. And some of the things, and I know you've looked as well, Ben.
Yeah.
And I certainly, just looking before we became live tonight, there's a lot of people trying to use the same VPN, get around, etc., or trying to change where they are in the world, etc., to try and get a little bit further ahead. But it won't. There's no way of circumnavigating it at the moment,
No,
even
and
using the VPN, and that's
from the way. And this is the thing. We've known for probably a couple of years that we've had to use VPNs to book things, certain dining reservations,
Yeah,
a
special
certain
events, things like that. You
Yeah,
can use a VPN in.
sort of Christmas, Halloween parties. You can get around it that way. But because this is an app only system where you purchase it through, I feel Disney are in that stage. I know we've always said and we've moaned about Disney's IT. I feel when they made that huge change to the dining system a few couple of months ago, where you can book lots of things in different ways, I think there are a lot of systems that are working, and I think
But
you're
they
not
fixed
going.
that.
They fix that, but also it's you put something out there. Is this something at the minute they want something to say come to us from a US perspective? But we will have this later down the line.
Maybe there's data to show that US guests numbers are dropping, and this is a way to attract them. If you think about it on a positive slant from their perspective, maybe actually they're desperately trying to attract Americans to go to Walt Disney World.
Can I just say, John Self, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and that's it's because we're having to buy it that we can't actually access it. And I think that is that possibly might be the nub of this issue. That I hadn't thought of that until John's actually said that in the chat. And I really, John, we really appreciate you coming in the chat now. And know, even on some of the socials that he's been on today, that he's been basically sort of complaining that people are not coming out with the truth about this. And because we know he's got his finger on the pulse of what's happening, not just dining wise, but ticket wise, etc. in Orlando. So a massive thank you for being part of the show tonight, John. It's really appreciated. I think it's the fact that we're having to buy it, and there's no tangible sort of thing that you can actually do. You can do a dining reservation, you can pay for a tour, but until
actually the reservation until you've done it, your card is probably charged until you're in the country. Or if you do pay it, there's a wording, there's a contract of how something is set up.
And I wonder if they haven't thought
because this isn't a reservation that you're purchasing. This is a specific thing where you're getting a time in line. You're not. It's probably dealt with a different way, and it's probably a legality thing, like John mentioned.
But it probably doesn't have any worth because we're actually not buying. We're not buying a meal. We're not buying a T-shirt. We're not buying something that's got a tangible value. We're basically buying a time slot, and that time slot is very much in the hands of Disney and things like that. And so that's where I actually think that might be the absolute hub of this whole problem.
I wonder what happens then. So I guess potentially there's some implications that if you were to buy Lightning Lane Plus,
But if you bought it and not use it,
and then not use it, you've picked some time slots that are then not available for other people.
and when you think of what we have in the UK, like distance selling regulations and all this sort of things that that may protect us from a consumer side.
Yeah,
I think
that may have something to do with it in terms of buying something you then can't use.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I guess you say like the dining reservations, you can cancel them. I'm not sure you can cancel this, can you? When you bought it, bought it. They take your money, and it's up to you whether you use it or not.
And it's non-transferable. Yeah. So once you bought it on your ticket,
so I can't even get someone in America to buy it and then pass it on to
it treats it like the same as a virtual queue. So if you actually look at all the terms and conditions, every time you bought Genie Plus, it's never been transferable. So you bought it flat person. Obviously, there's people you'd give someone else your magic band to go on that ride if you weren't feeling well, and you did that. Some people did that, but it's actually non-transferable. So it's part of the ticket terms and conditions.
And that's why the paper fast passes were better, because you could get them and then pass them on to other guests if you weren't going to use them.
Yeah.
Yes, I liked that.
Pay that forward. That's what I liked about it.
So my question is, why can I buy the system in California, in Anaheim, where I book it, I get into the park and I book it on the day? Why can I buy that ahead of time, but not Lightning Lane? No,
can you buy that here?
You can't buy.
What is the difference?
You can't buy either from the UK.
No.
Both of them have to be in the US in the park. So with Disneyland, it's slightly different. All they've done,
you book it on the day. Yeah,
you book it on the day. What they've done in Disneyland is really simple. To make branding easier, they have just removed the genie, put him back in his lamp, and just everything's Lightning Lane. So when you go onto the app, it's just called Lightning Lane, and it's exactly the same as it currently is now. There's no change between that when you get from the 24th of July.
But we have it. But if there is no change, we have officially
you bought tickets which have Genie Plus already on there. Yeah. So you won't be able to book advance. You'll be able to just go in and it'll be on there on that day.
Okay, so I can effectively buy the Lightning Lane ticket, but I can't use it till I get in.
I don't know whether they're still doing that advanced tickets anymore.
Yeah.
Because I remember those Genie Plus ones, you could buy them for the length of the ticket.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's available anymore. I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that has changed.
That has changed. So
since you last went and bought those tickets, Peter, that has stopped.
Tickets.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yep. Okay.
And that was specific to the UK, it seemed, for some bizarre reason. Unlike this, which is specific to the UK, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. Our Disneyland trip is next year, and obviously we haven't bought our tickets yet because 2025 tickets aren't out yet. And we thought, it's getting a bit closer to where are we going to be able to book them? And obviously these ticket changes are happening. But I think an easy solution for to fix a lot of this is if Disney, I know that I've said Disney increase the price for something, but increase the price of the ticket or have an option of an increased price of a ticket of your 14-day ultimate ticket, whatever we call it now, to include Lightning Lane. But it just costs that little bit more and it's on there. You know that you bought that ticket. You know you've got it on there. All it has to do is activate on your phone when you're 7 days or 3 days from it. I don't know whether that gets around any of the issues because you've already bought the ticket to give you access to the park.
But you can't.
But then you can't
stuff until you're in America anyway. So what's the? For me, I'd be like, well, why would I buy it in advance? Because I might change my plans. I can't get my money back, so I might as well wait till I'm there and decide on the day to buy it or the day before or whatever it is. I wouldn't buy it. There's no way I would buy it in advance if I wasn't able to pre-book my Lightning Lanes.
Yeah,
that would not make any sense to me.
And I'm glad Disney has also updated this website since last week, because when I first went on it, there was obviously no mention of the US. But as we've mentioned before, now it's going back. There's so many different aspects of it. We're going back to the tier system, which I know before.
I don't like the tiers.
It's usually all ends in tears, but
well, it does.
It does, yeah.
I just wish we could just go to the park, stand in a queue, and enjoy an attraction.
Yep. Because Magic Kingdom, for example, if you've got
why
it,
are we saying, actually, I'm looking at the things. Okay, so the Magic Kingdom top tier attractions.
Yep.
Actually, do you know what? Maybe Haunted Mansion is one of my favourite attractions, and I think that should be in it. Who made the decision of what's in the top tier and what isn't?
yes,
And why is Peter Pan up there?
because it always has a minute
He's
queue.
got a massive queue.
Yes, massive queues, yes.
But I mean,
Yeah.
what is wrong with just going? And if everyone stood in the standby line, it would be shorter for everyone because there wouldn't be people.
I remember when we went in November 2021, borders opened, we just got in a standby queue. That was it. There were, at the time there, I think Genie had launched, but everyone was going, oh, those queues look really long, but we joined them anyway because we waited long enough for the borders to open. Waiting 90 minutes to get on Big Thunder Mountain didn't bother me because most of them were inflated, most of them to get you to buy Genie Plus. So actually, if everyone got in the standby queue and you got rid of that, you get a much better experience. You can then you then judge what you see of the queue to go, actually, I'll wait 20 minutes for Big Thunder Mountain. That queue doesn't look as long. I'll get on it and I'll do it. If everyone's going standby, it's all moving. It's not stopping to let people that have paid to skip the line.
Yeah.
I'm interested. John's saying that the top tier is based on the average actual wait time. So does that mean that low loading attractions then get bumped up the list? Things that
like
are
Jungle
low
Cruise and
Jungle Cruise it always has a long line.
Yeah,
because it's the best attraction ever.
What they have also removed, which I didn't realise till the other day, they've removed meet and greets from those options.
Okay,
you
that.
You get a FastPass for a meet and greet, which I always thought was quite good, but no, that's not now part of that.
I think that's good. I think that everyone should be when you're going to meet Mickey, you should level the playing field. There shouldn't be a priority system in that. He's not bothered.
Yeah.
No.
They get you through quite fast in Walt Disney World anyway.
Yeah.
So
I just find it odd that the attraction is like Peter Pan. Yes, it's a short attraction, but it's low. It's low capacity, and because everyone wants to queue for it, is that what's making it top tier? When you look at something like Winnie the Pooh, which has a similar ride length, similar capacity, also has quite long lines, is in tier 2. I guess they can't put everything in tier 1 because there wouldn't be a point of having two different ones. But
maybe because otherwise, the problem is by having the two separate tiers, it then stops people going, oh, I'll have Big Thunder, Jungle Cruise, and Tiana's Bio Adventure.
It feels like Countdown. You can have one from the top and any other.
Yeah, I know that's exactly what it is.
You know.
Yeah, and it still doesn't add up.
No.
It seems really strange. I'm just trying to. I should have put my glasses on, because as I'm looking at the list, so where does the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train fit into that? Because that's
this is the problem, John.
This is because it's
not included.
I know, and that's the problem.
You have to buy it separate.
You've got to buy a separate one. Yeah.
So I either can stand in the standby line, for however long that is, or I can pay to ride the attraction.
Yeah.
A one-off payment, and that's the same for that and Tron. And is Tron still having a virtual queue?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see what I did there to avoid having a rant about it?
You wound me up and then still let me go.
And this is the thing is when you look at what options you have, and like this the website, when you think of like, oh, this could be a simple system, and there's so many different hidden areas of like, what do you get, when to purchase. So if you're staying on,
it says show more.
Yeah, like, if you are staying on site, it is 7 days, starting at 7 a.m. Eastern time on first day of eligibility. So when you land, you're going to book them straight away for 7 days later.
We could. But you're not allowed to use your phone in a federal area, so don't do it while you're waiting for your bags.
No. Probably not good to do it in Terminal C.
Yeah, it'd be a good use of your time, to be fair.
It's.
So Mahima's just asking in the chat, does the tier system disperse the crowds better? And I remember previously when there was a tier system, particularly at Epcot, and tier 1 was Soaring,
Test Track, Frozen.
and Frozen, right? This is before Ratatouille opened. And then tier 2 was everything else. And because you have to have all 3 used before you can book any more, and when you can book your next one, you can book from any tier.
Yeah.
I remember making fast passes for Journey into Imagination that I was never going to use.
Yeah.
And I just allow the time, 10:01 and the times tick down, then I can make another fast pass for something else.
Yes.
I remember doing that because there wasn't much in Epcot to be able to have 2 tiers. I didn't feel like it was necessary.
But
then obviously if everyone's then going to book Test Track, Frozen and Soarin'.
Guardians is a buy your own.
Yeah.
But that
then at
goes
least
a
you're
different thing
guaranteed to get
actually.
on.
And that's the thing to think about, is that actually, do I need Lightning Lane passes? Do I need
If I'm
these?
paying
The
for
multi
a
pass, single
single.
pass. If actually I just spend the money on getting my must-do rides done, I will, because I will pay for Rise, I will pay for Guardians once a trip, I will pay for Tron once a trip, and I will also pay for Flight of Passage once a trip, and Tiana's Bio-Adventure if it's still a virtual queue by the time we go. So
That's an interesting concept. Yeah. Do you just pay for the ones you want to do, and then the rest
because
of it
generally that's like $20, and I have to admit that I'll get those done even if I had paid for the multi-pass. I'm not going to get them anyway.
Or do you double up and have to pay for both?
Yeah.
Suddenly your costs have increased. If you're a family of 4, for example, suddenly your costs have increased by $150 a day.
Yeah.
If you're buying both, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
do you know what? John's got this question, this right. Fastest question because we're complaining that the queues were too long. So, and I think the problem is that there is no way of going back from it because everyone likes that option of, and it goes in every theme park, not just Disney. Universal has their own version of Express Pass. Even Legoland down the road has their own version.
Yeah.
I remember when Disneyland Paris first brought through their version of it, and their pass that you can buy gives you access to each ride once a day.
Like Premier
but
Access.
you just go through the fast pass queue, the short queue. But you can use it anytime. There's no time slots. You can pick up. You can decide when you want to turn up, and you just use it, and you can do each attraction once. And that works quite well. But you do still have times where it's really busy and times where it's not very busy. So you have to be a little bit strategic and plan your day. I think that is better than having to pick a time slot sometimes because
how many times you're in a park and your plans change, and then you're like, oh, I'm having to refresh all the time. And how many times I remember on the old FastPass system having a dig at it that you couldn't always get Flight of Passage at 60 days. You generally could, but sometimes you couldn't. And then on the day, you'd be there forever looking at your phone, which we've said over the past few years that actually isn't the best experience of being in a theme park if you're on your phone all the time, hitting that refresh button just to see if Flight of Passage comes up. And genuinely it would, but it's not something that I think is the best experience in a theme park. You're at Disney. We've said, and John said this sometimes about pausing and let the magic come to you.
Well, you can pause somewhere where there's a phone charger now.
Yes.
Because you're going to need to put some juice in that at lunchtime.
And a bit of Wi-Fi. If in Disneyland Paris, you've got no hope with that.
Oh no.
Would it be easier to just do what Tokyo does, and that is just charge for each individual ride?
So if you, bit like we were saying about the virtual queue, not virtual, but if you pay for each individual one, like Flight of Passage, and then I don't know. I'm not sure how many attractions there are in Tokyo. I just wonder whether you'd have the same issue that everyone's going for the top tier rides, and then no one's being forced to go on the other ones. So then you're not spreading the guests everywhere.
And so your wait for the top tiers is increasing anyway. So you might
is increasing anyway, and you're paying for it.
Yeah. So you're going to wait 2 hours, but you're going to pay for the pleasure of waiting 2 hours rather than not pay for it.
Yeah.
You get a slot.
Or do you limit the capacity? And that's the problem. Then that makes it more difficult because
that in some ways makes some of the exclusive parties or late nights and things slightly more attractive because you wouldn't need to purchase this. So girl math coming on here. I can take the cost of my Lightning Lane multi thing off the cost of my ticket
After
for the
hours,
Halloween
or-
party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So suddenly I've spent $80 less on the Halloween party for the 4 of us. So I've got
Yeah.
$83 that I would have spent
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah.
See, it's all up here.
Last June, we did the after hours at Hollywood Studios. It was $159 for the regular price. I think we got a bit of a saving with being a pass holder.
Mhm.
But what it worked out, we managed to at least do every ride once. We had time to do Phantasmic beforehand. Then we had the show on the Chinese theatre, and we were given loads of snacks. And it was a better experience.
Yeah.
But you've got to weigh up how much the cost is being in there during the day and going on how many rides and attractions there are at Hollywood Studios. It's something that you have to consider and work out doing the maths.
Yeah.
It's just another thing.
Yeah.
I
Some-
think
I miss the days where you can just walk into it. Like, I remember, like 2013, our first trip, we just discovered FastPass. We didn't book any dining reservations. We ate quick service. We went there. We had an amazing time.
Yeah.
Just
but do you
because
know-
just because of this option that at the minute isn't available for the US isn't going to ruin your trip.
ancient history, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes, ancient.
Yeah.
You know.
It's still less complicated than last time I went to a Merlin park, where you can buy it
Well-
to get 10 minutes before you queue up, 20 minutes before you queue up, 30 minutes before you queue up. You buy different slots.
I feel like you
and it
need a
costs you more.
formula, and it's like I need
You
Carol
do,
Vorderman
yeah.
with me to work out what's best.
Because it's designed by wizards.
Possibly, yes.
I don't know.
I don't know whether they do that in Legoland in Orlando, but
I went, but that was a very long time ago. I went. That
all right,
was
okay.
probably in 2011. I went to Legoland in Florida. I'm disappointed it wasn't still Cypress Gardens. Just,
Yes.
Yeah. So
You missed
they
the ladies in
haven't-
crinoline dresses.
What's interesting, we don't yet know the prices of what this new system is going to
No.
be. So Disney have said that they'll vary by date and theme park. Prices for Lightning and single passes vary by date and attraction. So obviously some are going to be more expensive than others. And that's also a difficult thing when you're looking for a 2-week trip on how to budget. So
Yeah, I'm going back to what I said earlier, and I'm going back to what I said in the mid-month show. And actually, if you are in the UK and maybe you're planning a trip for the first time, this becomes overly complicated, overly expensive, and it just pushes you away from the magic. And I think that's really sad.
Yeah.
You know, I find it sad because actually it just seems that another opportunity of a cash grab, but one where you don't have that ability to actually enjoy. Because for a lot of people, if you plan way in advance, you know, the old 60-day window, if you were staying on site, was actually quite a significant one in ramping up the excitement that you were going on holiday in 60 days. And so as a family, it became quite a big thing. Yeah. And even if you were off site at 30 days, it was still an exciting experience. And
it's like the 90 days for the ADR.
Yeah.
I was 6 months at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, so 90 days. And I remember us, I can't remember, it must have been 2014, 2011, 2014.
Yeah.
Us having because my parents were coming, it must have been 2011 because my parents were coming. And us having a massive family Chinese on a Saturday night where we sat there and worked through exactly what we were going to book. And we had the table covered in food, and we had this family meeting about what we were going to make.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy that bit of it, and it feels like this has been taken away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By making things just closer to the trip, it's like it just you lose that little bit of excitement in planning.
Yeah.
And for us being Disney Vacation Club, we always know we have our 11 months for when we book a home resort, and then we'll see what's available at 7 months, and then it used to be okay. We'll then go, oh, we know where we're staying now. Let's go at 6 months, book our ADRs, get our dining reservations, and see what food we want. Because even then, we'd also change between 6 months and getting close to the trip because there'd be menu changes, there'd be new restaurants that we'd always add. But it always got us excited. and
Yeah.
it's we're going to be helping planning some people plan their trips, and we want everyone to feel that excitement again. And I feel like by them making things 3 days, 7 days, 60 days, it's just
My brain hurts a little bit.
it's a lot of numbers.
Yes,
And
yeah.
yeah, you're right, John. It's 180 days ADR.
Yeah, 180 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good old
those
6
were
months.
those were the days. There we go.
Yeah, and Carrie's right. It becomes work, especially
Yeah.
if you have to do this so close to the trip.
Yeah.
Because all you need to focus when you're 3 days out from your trip, 7 days, is like, have I got enough time to pack the suitcase? Have I got the essentials?
Yeah.
That should be the bit you're focusing. Have I made? Obviously, your first thing you ever book your trip is you have your travel insurance and your ESTA. They're the crucial things to focus on,
Yeah.
and then obviously your flight. But yeah, it's an interesting way, and it'll be interesting what develops and how the response is for US guests in a couple of weeks' time.
I think that they will fix it. I think like the workaround that they created for the restaurant bookings that the mess up with that a couple of months ago where UK guests couldn't book restaurants without using the VPN, and even that didn't work sometimes. That's all been sorted. That's been fixed. They've found a way around it. I'm optimistic that someone somewhere's realised they've maybe a little bit of an issue. And
and
the
as soon
amount of
as
noise
Disney,
that's
as soon as Disney realise that, oh, we can make some more money out of this, they're going to fix it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is like if they realise there are a lot of people internationally that will want to plan their trips the way a lot of us do, and want to be able to just book those few attractions a day to skip the line to make it easier. Disney will do that. Disney will do whatever they can. At the minute,
well, they do what they can to take our money. Let's face it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it,
No beating around the bushes going on here, Ben.
But
No.
the email that we'll all receive will be, it's to facilitate our happiness in the magic. So let's keep that, bear that in mind, because that will be how it will be worded.
I was just aware, we're not going to beat around the bush. I was about to mention something about Brazilians. Maybe we should move on.
You're not beating about the bush there, are you?
You know what? There is some positivity about this new system. Not being up at 6:50 a.m.
I still have an alarm that goes off on my phone most days at 6:57. And I know that Anna also has an alarm that goes off at 6:57 every day, because I forget to turn it off, and then every morning I go, I need to turn it off, and then I don't, because then
you don't, and then it's like, I've got a trip coming up next month.
It's my virtual queue alarm. I quite like it. Yeah.
I've got two things I'd like to suggest. Do you think Disney, once they realise that they've kind of made a mistake with this, will say, oh well, we're rolling it out for America first just to check it, and then we'll roll it out for the rest of the world? Do you think they say that?
No,
and the other question is,
I think you'll have two things. I think they'll be honest and go, due to some legal issues, we've managed to work our way around them. And I think the best thing for Disney to do is be honest and actually tell us what it is. If they just say, we're testing it out, no, it's...
You did it too early.
Yeah.
You didn't think it through.
Yeah. No, you didn't tell your IT department.
Yeah.
My other question is, would we rather have this than Memory Maker on our tickets? Would it work for us better if we had if Disney decided to give us this instead of Memory Maker?
But Memory Maker is completely different, and actually,
And
I think from a UK ticket perspective, they basically have always given us the photographs, and like it or not, even when it was on CD-ROM, there was a way round where you could get a lot of people in a PhotoPass share, and I have actually hosted one where everyone had the PhotoPass number, and we all bailed in on it, and at the end of a window, everyone had come back from holiday. I got everyone's photo,
bunch of CDs.
And it was brilliant. It was a really cracking way of doing it. So, above and beyond, even if we
thank you, Morgan.
Yeah, thank you. There we go.
You beat me to it.
I'm just glad John didn't say cassette, and we'll be fine.
Well, yeah, there you go. I've never had photographs on that. I've had
3.5-inch floppy disk.
Yeah, mini disc and everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing, Peter. I think there's always a workaround with photographs.
Yeah.
And there's a way that you can actually get a lot of people. And there is one currently, if you're paying for Memory Maker, where one person just buys it and everyone else chips in, and you link everyone's band.
Yeah.
The issue is this is completely different, and we're talking about the Lightning Lane and it being per individual person and having to. It'll cost you a lot of money.
I think what will happen is, as the response will be, sorry. Oh,
yeah. Thank you, Carrie.
CD-ROM.
I remember getting the CD-ROM. Yes.
Yeah.
I just remember. I remember. Like, I think our first trip we didn't get a photo pass, but we got given the card, and then it was like, oh, you can go and get your CD over the was it in Hollywood Studios, and it was just like, oh, CD-ROM. I honestly think Disney are going to, for UK tickets, they won't remove Memory Maker because it sounds really good, something free, and I don't think it costs Disney that much to give people digital access to these photos. I think what they will do is they'll just increase the price of the ticket with a option to have it for the length of your ticket.
Maybe so.
Right. Okay.
Because also it will go in where the ticket is the 14-day for the price of 7. It will be wound up in that sort of advertising. Whether we have to wait till next April when the next offers for that, it could be. We're not sure. We just have to wait and see what Disney announce. But I think John may have got it right. We listened to our guests and provided this new service just for them.
Almost like he's heard it before.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And do you know what? I think now is actually a good time. Now I think we've got a few moments. As we were talking past sort of this morning, we had a bit of a laugh and thought that the US versus UK thing, it's always quite interesting. But we thought we'd have our own little go at it here on the Great British Mickey Waffle. So we thought, what shall I say, Claire? This was Claire's idea. I might as well.
I love that, Ben. That's it.
I'm responsible for the graphics.
Offload the blame.
The way this went was, I had a bit like my dig about the 4th of July earlier. I had a bit of a moment this morning where I was like, "Oh, how can we make this fun? Because this is not fun for us." So I messaged Ben. I went, "Do you think we could do this tonight?" And Ben's like, "I'm on it. I'll have the graphics done by lunchtime." I'm just like, yes, this is how it should work. So yes, enjoy this, people. We need to know your views.
So here we go, the Great British Mickey Waffle Plus. So your podcast, your way. I love this. This is brilliant. So you get to choose your host. Tier 1. Is it 2 from Tier 1 and 2 from Tier 2?
I think so. Yeah.
I think we're doing.
You can't. It's
Give us quite a you choose the host from which tier, and then you also get to choose your topic. So concretes, rides, trash cans, food, drink, Paris, and shops. And obviously, this is only for UK only, and it's only £20.
Bargain price.
Bargain.
£20 a show, and you get to choose who's on it.
Anyone wants to do it, let us know. But obviously, it's only for UK people. The tech doesn't work in America, apparently.
No, you just get white noise when you hear it.
But if you're in the chat,
post that might be preferable. Or maybe it just send you to sleep, or maybe we do send people to sleep anyway. I don't know.
Can we add to the package and get a meet and greet?
That's the individual.
Just,
Mickey Waffle Plus.
Oh.
Totally. Carrie, I like how you're upselling. This is great.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Tonight has been an interesting show, and I love doing this. Is just what we do. We just what our Wednesday shows are all about. We get to that middle part of the week, and we go like, the weekend's not here. Let's just offload and talk about Disney.
Oh dear.
Oh no. Just for anyone listening on the podcast, Portwood Travel have suggested a GBMW only fans. Maybe not.
There you go.
There's so many things at this moment I want to say, but I'm not going to say them.
We should save them for a future Patreon.
So many things. Oh,
Oh,
no.
you okay, Claire?
No, I'm not. You know how my brain works? And it's just like, you know that moment in Friends where Chandler has so many jokes that he wants to say, and he's like,
Yeah.
Oh, he's about to explode. Yeah.
That's me at this moment
Yeah.
in time. Thank you very much for that, Neil.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to everyone here, but also everyone that has also listened to and watched this podcast. This only came out, was it Monday?
Yeah.
And everybody we've had so many views, so many comments and responses from it. And who doesn't want to book a trip to Disneyland? It definitely sounds a lot less complicated than going to Walt Disney World.
Yes.
And yeah, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has watched that. And I know that, Peter, how's your trip planning going? If you're a bit closer?
We're a bit. We're just. We're about to piff. So that's
Sorry?
all right.
Do you need to put your hand up for that?
We're about to pay in full, so that's all right.
Oh,
right.
I misheard.
I
I thought you
yeah.
needed the bathroom.
That's a new one on me, I must admit. Yeah.
See, I got
That?
confused. I thought, isn't that
That?
the bit that's inside of an orange?
Yeah. That's pizza. Yeah.
No, I heard the other one. Where
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're about to pay in full and everything, and yeah, the only thing that's different is the new rules with the lightning lane. So
yeah,
we'll just have to sort that out. But everything else, sweet.
I want to say, I'm not sure who they are, but I want to say welcome to Fueled by Coffee. I love your name.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, what a cool.
I like the Death Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
It's a very cool graphic.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
slightly
that.
jealous of that.
That's
that needs to be on a
brilliant.
t-shirt. If you haven't
Yeah.
got it on a t-shirt, get it on a t-shirt. 'Cause it
Or,
looks
Oh,
or one of those like Starbucks cups.
Yes.
yeah.
I'd love
Yeah.
that.
Only my
Maybe
wife
the-
could
the-
say this.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think we would probably all say it.
I think we would, yeah.
I think we've all said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah.
And
I-
Carrie, 2 drinks, Claire. How very dare you?
I
I know I wasn't on the cocktail show last week. But
You
anyone
did get a
knows
mention.
me knows that I can-
Repeatedly.
2 drinks is never enough.
No, that is true. You have to start with 2 drinks.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for everyone joining us on today's show, and a huge thank you to everyone in the chat who's kept us going and kept the show positive. And we'll be back, especially when there's another show where there'll be another change that happens at Disney Park, because the way Disney are on it at the minute, we'll be going all the way through summer with a change each week. So we hope you've had as much fun as we did. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an update. Follow us on social media at GB Mickey Waffle for more Disney magic, and don't forget to join us in the Wafflers Arms, our Facebook community. So, and also, as I mentioned, we've had a few amazing podcasts recently where we're joined by Russ, Orlando Adventures podcast, and obviously when we spoke about Disneyland, not next week, but I think the week after, we'll also have the show from Gaz and Ange where we catch up with them about their epic Asian adventure.
Yep.
And I apologize if it costs anyone listening or watching a lot of money, because I have to admit, ever since we spoke to them, I've been looking at flights to Shanghai, and it's not just because I want to escape. I'm just blown away by what is in that park, and it's a park that I've never really thought much about. But once you see Shanghai Pirates, you're gonna really want to go and see it.
Yeah,
but
Different.
it looks incredible. It's so different. It looks like it's on like a sort of roller coaster, so underwater. So it's like a trackless. It's a bit like Rise of the Resistance crossed with pirates in water.
Ooh.
Screens. It looks amazing. So
Has Shanghai? Sorry, I thought you'd finished.
No, sorry, please.
Has Shanghai got rid of the attraction where they clip you to the top and you have to walk over all the balance beams and that are quite high and stuff like that? Climb.
I'm not sure
Climb
I've
the
even
wall.
heard of that one.
Go ape in
No, it's a bit more
Go make your
complicated
mates
than
don't.
that. Look it up. Look it up. There is or was an attraction where you're on a track at the top and you're strapped into a strap.
Yeah.
Which
Health-
park are you thinking of?
Health-
Shanghai.
Is
Is
it
it-
a Disney park or is this back to Disney? Is this back to Mickey Waffle OnlyFans? I'm slightly
Is it?
concerned.
It's a Disney park.
Only words of
Shanghai.
restraints going
Honest.
on for a
Is it-
Wednesday show.
Or is it a health and safety version of Tom Sawyer Island? That's what
Yes,
I was
kind
thinking.
of, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so don't forget to check out our podcast available wherever you get your podcasts, at Apple, Spotify, YouTube as well, because Google Podcasts apparently doesn't exist anymore. It's now all on YouTube. So until the next time, we'll see you real soon.
See you real soon.